You are looking at a 2025 Hyundai Tucson. This vehicle has undergone a mid-cycle refresh. Hyundai is going to tell you this car looks different. It doesn't. Okay, the headlights have been updated to be a bit wider and taller, but essentially on the outside, this looks exactly the same. There is the new XRT trim level, which brings a little bit of rugged elements to the exterior of this car. Doesn't really change the car's capabilities. The big news comes inside, where the interior found on Hyundai Sonata, Hyundai Santa Fe, has been brought to the Tucson. So dual 12.3-inch displays, two-zone automatic climate control, the wireless charging pad up close to the driver, new steering wheel, and shift-by-wire on the hybrid and high-end gas trim levels. This is the Tucson Hybrid, so it uses a 1.6-liter turbocharged four-cylinder made into an electric motor to produce 231 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. For reference, a CR-V hybrid makes about 204 horsepower. So this is pretty punchy, and it should return 38 mpg in an all-wheel drive setting, which is really good. I'm pretty impressed by this powertrain. So today I am in Los Olivos, California to take a look at this new Tucson, to see what it drives like and see what this new interior is like and see what improvements Hyundai has made to this vehicle. But this update in a nutshell is this new upfront interior, this new dash design. You have the same interior found in Hyundai Santa Fe, Hyundai Sonata. I believe also Hyundai Kona had a very similar interior. Dual 12.3-inch displays, the new steering wheel that is logo-less, two-zone automatic climate controls. They're all haptic touch, but I do like that they are not buried in the touchscreen. You have your wireless charging pad that is closer to the driver. You still do get some functional features. You have a downhill assist, like a low-speed cruise control to go down a hill, so that would be nice, especially in the XRT trim level. You have a locking center differential. The drive modes don't really support off-road driving. Snow is as aggressive as they get. But this is where you're going to notice the biggest difference between the current model year Tucson. This is, I think, a big upgrade. The center stack of the current gen Tucson is just kind of plasticky and boring. This is definitely more sleek, more modern. There's plenty of storage up by the above the glove box, and I am a fan of this interior. I've driven it in Sonata, driven it in Santa Cruz, driven it in Kona, or Santa Fe, sorry, and I've liked it in those vehicles as well. Speaking of Santa Cruz, though, the Santa Cruz is based on the Tucson, and that vehicle has also received the similar interior update and exterior updates. There's no hybrid or plug-in hybrid in the Santa Cruz, but you do get the XRT trim level as well. The only thing that you don't get in the Santa Cruz that you do in this Tucson is this shift-by-wire column. This is standard in the hybrid models and the limited gas-only Tucson. All other ones have a traditional, like, PRNDL shifter that the Santa Cruz also has. So your wireless charging pad then moves down lower. You still do get a wireless charging pad, but it's not this nice one that's right next to you. Now, the Tucson competes in the compact crossover segment, which is the most competitive in the US auto industry. This is where vehicles like the Toyota RAV4, Honda CR-V, Mazda CX-5 all compete. So the Tucson has a lot to prove when trying to convince buyers to choose the Hyundai over those Japanese competitors. And Hyundai has been steadily growing their market share in this segment. They sold over 200,000 Hyundai Tucsons in 2023, so that's very impressive. And sitting here in the second row, even though this limited trim level has this panoramic sunroof, which I have closed because it's pretty hot out, I still have plenty of room, plenty of leg room behind my ideal driving position. I am 6'2", plenty of foot room, and when I sit upright, my head is just brushing the ceiling, but I can sit all the way upright. Lowering this center armrest, we're going to find a couple of cup holders. You have a pair of USB-C charging outlets, which is good to see. Map pockets in the back. You even get heated outboard seats in this Tucson Limited, which is also nice to see, and it's fairly comfortable back here. This is why people love this segment. It is spacious on the inside while still being pretty compact on the outside. All right, driving the 2025 Hyundai Tucson. So this is the hybrid model, and the hybrid model is the more powerful of the two Hyundai Tucsons. The gas only version of the Tucson makes 187 horsepower and 178 pound-feet of torque, and this hybrid version makes 231 horsepower and 271 pound-feet of torque. So it's a pretty significant upgrade in power over the gas only Tucson, and I actually really love this powertrain. It's just a 1.6 liter turbocharged four-cylinder mated with an electric motor, but this engine really is not that coarse. You would think with an engine that is that small, that is that, you know, turbocharged, it would be pretty coarse, and it would come into the cabin and you would feel it and you would hear it, and you would just really remember that you have a 4-cylinder under the hood. It's really not like that at all. The electric motor provides a good amount of torque low down to kind of get you going, and then even when this 1.6 liter spools all the way up, you barely hear it. I'm really impressed by this powertrain. And this is rated to get about 38 miles per gallon combined, which is also really impressive. In my time with it, I've been seeing closer to 32, 33, but we have been out on the open road, definitely putting our foot down a bit more, versus around town, which is when hybrids really excel in terms of fuel economy, because you get the benefit of regenerative braking. Speaking of regenerative braking, this Tucson has something I've never seen in a hybrid before, which is adjustable regen braking. So right now I can pull on the left paddle and it will bring me up from level no regen braking, essentially from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. And at level 3, it's a pretty strong regen brake. I don't have my foot on the brake right now, and I'm going 40, 38, 35, 30, and I'm coming down 20. I wonder if it'll bring me all the way to a stop. 10, 8, now I'm kind of coasting. But it's a pretty strong regen brake. That's really cool. I've never seen a car company have adjustable regen braking in a hybrid. It makes a lot of sense. However, when a battery is full, be this in an EV or in a hybrid, it can no longer regen brake because there's nowhere to put all of that electricity. So if you're coming down a pretty steep hill, we've been on some twisty roads today here by Los Olivos, California. If you're coming down a twisty road, you can very well fill up the battery in this Tucson hybrid, and then the regen braking gets turned off. And you notice it. If you are coasting down a hill and there is regen braking and then all of a sudden there's no longer regen braking, it's definitely a noticeable difference. So that's just something to keep in mind. It's a unique feeling, and I felt it before on EVs when I've charged them to 100% and then just left my house or wherever I was charging them and realizing I don't have regen braking because there is nowhere to put that electricity. You have a wireless charging pad up close to you, and what I love about this, and I loved about it in the Santa Fe, is that the wireless charging pad itself is raised, so you can set your phone on this rubbery surface. It won't slide around because it is really rubbery and pretty grippy. And the phone actually charges if you have a camera hump, which is awesome. I can't tell you how many cars I've been in with wireless charging pads that don't effectively charge my phone because my phone has a camera hump, and like basically all modern iPhones do, and it won't rest flat on the charging pad, and so then it keeps charging and then turning off and charging and turning off. You don't have that in this Tucson. So this cabin is great. If you've been in other of Hyundai's modern products, you will recognize it, and I think you'll appreciate it too, because it's very premium in here. It's very quiet in here. Like, again, you don't really hear that 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. The ride is pretty good. It's nothing to write home about, but it's acceptable in this space. And it's, well, not fast. We clocked 0 to 60 in 8.2 seconds. No, there was no brake torquing there. It's, you know, plenty of power for what you need. And the non-hybrid might be a little pokier. Definitely is a little pokier. I really do think this hybrid version is the way to go. Plenty of power, really good efficiency, and you can get it in the N-line trim level if you want the slightly more sporty styling. This is the limited trim level, so plenty of comfort-oriented features. We have heated and cooled seats, adjustable lumbar support. You can see this big panoramic sunroof, and I'm pretty impressed by all of the features that this Tucson has, and just its driving dynamics. So you have 4 drive modes: Eco, Sport, My Drive, which is like a customizable drive setting, and Snow. There's not that much difference in between Eco and Sport. It hangs on to higher RPMs because this is a 6-speed automatic. It's not a CVT. But I don't really notice a difference in the acceleration between the 2 modes. So I've just left it in Eco mode, and sorry if you can hear my tripod flinging around. You know, this is still a compact crossover. It competes with a RAV4 CR-V. So it's not going to be your canyon carver, although we have been going through some canyons today. It's not where this car is at home, but it remains somewhat composed through these corners. And the steering does get a little heavier in sport mode. That is one thing I noticed, so you can be a bit more direct and precise with your steering inputs. So yeah, this is a very competent car. I do think the hybrid is the way to go. Even on mostly highway driving, we're still getting above 30 miles per gallon, which is really impressive for this size of vehicle. And it's really comfortable, plenty of tech, plenty of features, as you can see, and it undercuts the Japanese competition by a fair share. I was surprised when Hyundai told us earlier today that Tucson Hybrid only makes up a quarter of Tucson sales. I think this is definitely the one to go for. It is $1,200 more expensive than the regular Tucson, but you're getting the more power and you're getting better fuel economy all around. I just think it's a really good product. So that's the 2025 Hyundai Tucson. It has an excellent cabin that is very quiet. It rides all right, but it's also really punchy. I do love this hybrid powertrain, and it is the one I would recommend. I do think it is worth getting the extra power and efficiency for that $1,200 premium. There's also a plug-in hybrid if you so desire. It gets 32 miles of all-electric driving, and that one goes up to $47,000 when in the limited trim level. So it is a bit pricier. If you don't have access to charging or you don't think you're ready for that level of electrification, this is a great option. You don't have to charge it. You just fill it up with gas and it's more efficient and more powerful. And I do appreciate the new interior that Hyundai has given this Tucson. The outside looks pretty much the same, but I already thought it was a pretty handsome car, and that remains for 2025. And there's now the new XRT trim level if you want a little bit more of an off-road oriented, rugged styled vehicle. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.